critically injured in a car accident. My wealthy husband of 7 years only cared about his mistress, leaving me to fend for myself. He used "she looks like you" as an excuse, so I made him sign the divorce papers himself and took away his family fortune. In the end, the mistress was ruined, and he begged for reconciliation, but I had already been reborn, crowned with success in my career, and completely blacklisted him. A searing pain. It felt like countless red-hot brands were scorching my skin simultaneously, and the sound of bones breaking echoed in my eardrums. I struggled to open my eyes, and through the broken windshield, I saw distorted neon lights and heard piercing sirens. Salty, metallic liquid blurred my vision. I knew it was blood. More pain came from the shards of glass that were deeply embedded in my flesh. Each breath tugged at them, bringing a pain like being slowly sliced to pieces. I can't move, like I'm nailed to the driver's seat. This is a car accident. Hasty footsteps approached from far away, and the red and blue lights of the ambulance flashed on my face through the shattered car window. The injured person is here. Hurry, the pupils are reactive, and they're still breathing. A doctor in a white coat bent down to check my condition, his voice filled with anxiety, just as he was preparing to administer first aid. A slender, powerful hand abruptly pushed him away, the movement rough and with an unquestionable commanding tone. Get out of the way, save her first. This voice, I've known it for 7 years, so familiar that I could recognize it even if it turned to ashes. My husband, Ethan Thorne. But his focus at this moment wasn't on me, his critically injured and dying wife. He carefully held the woman in the passenger seat. That woman, his assistant, Sarah Evans, who was leaning weakly in his arms, a slight abrasion on her forehead, but now furrowing her brow as if enduring immense pain. Ethan. Sarah's voice was as thin as a mosquito. With a sob, I'm so scared. Don't be afraid, Sarah, I'm here. Ethan's voice was a tenderness I had never heard before. He didn't even look at me, as if I were just a pile of insignificant scrap metal. My God, is that Ethan Thorne from the Thorne Group? It's him. Who is that in his arms? Isn't it his wife? His wife is still stuck in the driver's seat, bleeding a lot. TSK. Look at how nervous Ethan is. The one in his arms is probably more precious than real gold. I think that woman just has a scratch. She's pretending to be on the verge of death. Onlookers and arriving nurses whispered, their words like needles piercing my ears. The Hong Kong Circle. No, it should be called the New York's top wealthy family heir now. The future helmsman of the Thorne Group. My husband, at this moment, nakedly displayed his concern for another woman in front of everyone, in stark contrast to his complete indifference to his disfigured wife, whose life hung in the balance. Sarah wasn't really injured. This realization was like an ice pick, piercing through my last bit of hope. I was painstakingly lifted from the deformed driver's seat by the rescuers, secured to a stretcher, and put into the ambulance. Ethan followed, carrying Sarah, and in the cramped space, all his attention was on Sarah. Doctor, take a look at her quickly. She's dizzy and says she's nauseous. He anxiously urged the doctor who should have been treating me first. The doctor was helpless and could only go and comfort Sarah, who was clearly just frightened and had minor abrasions. Ethan personally took a cotton swab and carefully wiped the blood from her forehead, his movements as gentle as if he were handling a fragile treasure. I lay on the stretcher, my body aching, blood constantly pouring from my wounds, staining the white sheet beneath me. I wanted to raise my hand, to grab something, to contact my family, my brother. I used my last ounce of strength to reach into my pocket for my phone and dialed a number with trembling hands. As soon as the call connected, Ethan's cold voice slammed over, "What's all the noise? Can't you see Sarah needs quiet?" The next second, he reached out and snatched my phone, harshly hung up the call, and threw it aside. "Don't let her make any more noise and disturb Sarah's rest," he ordered the nurse coldly. At that moment, something shattered completely in my heart. 7 years of marriage, 7 years of companionship, the belief I thought was unbreakable, was crushed by him with his own hands at this moment. It turns out that in his heart, I am not even worth a hair of his assistant. The hospital lights were pale and glaring. I was pushed directly into the emergency room, and the cold sound of instruments buzzed in my ears. "A family member needs to sign. Where is your husband?" A young nurse looked at my injuries with obvious sympathy in her eyes. I opened my mouth, but my throat was so dry that I couldn't make a sound. The pain in my chest even overshadowed the severe pain all over my body. I just saw Mr. Thorne carrying his assistant to the VIP ward. He was extremely nervous, And it seemed like he even called in the directors of orthopedics and neurology for a consultation. Another nurse whispered, even though his wife is so badly injured, he won't come. I closed my eyes, holding back tears and pain. Gathering all my strength, I said to the sympathetic nurse, I'll sign it myself. The nurse hesitated for a moment, but finally handed the surgical consent form to me. With fingers that could barely move, I trembled and signed my name, stroke by stroke, Ava Miller. From today on, perhaps, I am just Ava Miller. The anesthetic slowly injected into my blood vessels, and consciousness gradually blurred. In the darkness, fragments of the past flashed like a revolving lantern. Why does this soup taste so bad? Ava, can't you put a little more effort into it? Ethan frowned and pushed away the soup I had carefully simmered all afternoon. Mom was just saying it casually. Can't you just let her have her way a little? You just have to make her unhappy. He lashed out at me because I had retorted to his mother with a few harmless words. Where are my important documents? How many times have I told you to put them in the study? Did you lose them again? You're always messing things up. When he couldn't find something, he blamed me without even finding out the truth. I used to comfort myself with he's under a lot of work pressure and he's just not good at expressing himself when thinking about these scenes. Now it seems that it was just proof that he was already tired of me. That impatience, blame, and neglect were never accidental. I don't know how long it had been, but I woke up from the anesthesia, my whole body aching as if it had been disassembled and reassembled. The nurse was changing my bag. My husband, Ethan, has he been here? I asked with a hoarse voice, clinging to the last shred of hope. A look of pity flashed across the nurse's face. Mr. Thorne's phone has been unreachable. He's probably busy. Busy? Yes, he is very busy. Just then, a suppressed but clear conversation came from outside the ward. It was Ethan and Sarah. Don't be afraid. It's just a superficial injury. I've hired the best plastic surgeon in the United States to ensure that no scars will be left. Ethan's voice was so gentle that it could drip water. But it still hurts a bit when I walk. Sarah's voice had a coquettish tone. Then I'll carry you. I'll even carry you to the toilet. Okay, Ethan, you're so good. But Ava, don't mention her. Ethan's voice turned cold instantly. She was careless driving herself. It has nothing to do with you. You focus on recovering. Don't overthink things. I'll be here with you the whole time. You won't leave me, will you? Silly. Of course not. Every word was like a poison-laced knife, accurately piercing my heart that was already riddled with holes. I couldn't bear it any longer, covered my face, and wept silently. So, in his eyes, I was responsible for the car accident. So, when I was on the verge of life and death, he turned off his phone just to accompany his true love undisturbed. 7 years ago, when Ethan Thorne pursued me, he was so passionate and flamboyant. He was New York's most sought-after bachelor, the sole heir to the Thorne Group, and never lacked female companions. But he chose me, an ordinary girl who was only a small name in the dance world. Ava, you are like a light, illuminating my dark world. Believe me, I will love you and protect you forever. You are the only family I have in this life. Marry me, Ava, and I'll give you the world. His vows still echoed in my ears, those sweet moments replaying like a movie, so clear as if it were yesterday. He once booked a large screen in Times Square to confess his love to me, set off fireworks all night for me on the banks of the Hudson River, and was so excited that he burst into tears when I won an International Dance Award. At that time, I believed that I was the unique existence in his life. But what about reality? The reality is that his forever only has a 7-year shelf life. His only family member is far less important in his heart than an assistant with a scraped forehead. The sound of vows breaking hurts me more deeply than the sound of my bones breaking. My heart is dead. There is no greater sorrow than a dead heart. Lying in the hospital bed these past few days, I've thought it through very clearly. Divorce. I must divorce. But I can't let him off so easily. 7 years of youth and dedication. I deserve it. Not a penny less. I want money. A lot of money. Enough to live the rest of my life without worry. Enough for me to pick up my dance career again. As soon as my injury improved slightly, I ignored the doctor's objections and insisted on being discharged from the hospital. My first stop was the Thorne Group building to retrieve the spare bank card I had left in his office drawer. The car stopped downstairs at the Thorne Group building. As I was about to get out, I saw Ethan's car drive out of the underground garage. I don't know what came over me, but I didn't leave immediately. The car window slowly rolled down, and Ethan in the driver's seat turned his head to gently kiss Sarah on the lips in the passenger seat. In the sunlight, Sarah had a shy but triumphant smile on her face, and I recognized the expensive necklace on her neck as the one Ethan bought last month under the guise of a company reward. So, it's already been so blatant. The last bit of warmth in my heart has disappeared. After being discharged from the hospital, I will need someone to take care of me. My brother helped me contact a private caregiver who is experienced and has an excellent reputation, with a very high salary. However, the day before the caregiver was scheduled to come, the agent called apologetically, saying that the caregiver had been poached by another employer for 10 times the price. Which employer? I had a vague sense of foreboding. They said it was Mrs. Thorne. The agent replied carefully, Mrs. Thorne? I'm not divorced yet. I'm still Mrs. Thorne in name. The only explanation is that Sarah Evans, under the name Mrs. Thorne, has stolen the caregiver who was supposed to take care of me. She not only wants to steal my husband, but also everything that belongs to Mrs. Thorne, even if it's just a caregiver. Good, very good. Sarah Evans, you like to snatch, right? Then let's see if you have the ability to hold on to what you've snatched. I took a taxi directly to the Thorne Group, without an appointment. The receptionist tried to stop me, but I pushed open the door to the president's office with a cold face. The scene inside stung my eyes. Sarah was sitting at Ethan's large desk, taking a selfie with her phone. Sunlight streamed through the French windows, illuminating the huge pink diamond ring on the ring finger of her left hand, which glittered with a dazzling light. That's not my wedding ring. My wedding ring was lost in the car accident, or perhaps, thrown away by Ethan, and this pink diamond, I recognize it, is the one Ethan bought at a charity auction not long ago. At the time, he said he bought it as an investment. So, it turns out the investment was in his assistant. Yo, isn't this the famous Sarah assistant? I leaned against the doorframe, pulling out a cold smile. Working hours, using the boss/s office, taking selfies with the diamond ring the boss gave you? Truly a dedicated pet canary. Sarah clearly didn't expect me to appear suddenly. The smile on her face froze. Then she put on a pitiful expression / Ava, why are you here? Are you feeling better? Thanks to you, I / am not dead yet. I walked closer to her, my eyes on the ring on her finger. However, wearing stolen goods on your hand, don't you feel uncomfortable? Oh, that / right. After all, you can steal someone else / husband with peace of mind. So what does this reputation matter? What nonsense are you talking about? Sarah was poked in her sore spot and her face changed instantly. She stood up and wanted to refute. I didn't give her a chance. I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face with a crisp, loud smack. This slap is for myself, I said coldly, watching the red mark quickly appear on her face. Sarah covered her face, a look of astonishment and resentment flashing in her eyes, and then burst into tears. Ava, you're going too far. Ethan, as if the timing was perfect, the office door was pushed open with a bang, and Ethan walked in with a grim face. He had obviously heard Sarah's cries. What's going on? He didn't even look at me, walked straight to Sarah, put her in his arms, and when he saw the redness and swelling on her face, his eyes instantly turned fierce, and he suddenly turned to me. Did you hit her? Yes, I hit. Before I could finish speaking, Ethan suddenly picked up a crystal ornament from the table and smashed it hard at my back without any hesitation. Bang! A sharp pain exploded from my back instantly. My vision went dark, and I staggered back a few steps, crashing into the cold wall. The wound on my back that had just begun to heal was probably torn open again. Warm liquid quickly soaked through my clothes. Ethan didn't even look at my miserable state. He pointed at me and ordered the 2 bodyguards who had rushed over upon hearing the sound, "Drag this crazy woman out. If she doesn't listen, break her fingers and tear her mouth. Let her know that the Thorne Group is not a place for her to run wild." Mr. Thorne, Madam's injury. One of the bodyguards saw the blood seeping from my back and exclaimed in surprise. Ethan's movements froze. It seemed he truly saw me only now, saw my pale face, saw the bloodstains spreading across my back, saw the deathly despair in my eyes. A look of shock and disbelief appeared on his face for the first time, as if he didn't understand why I was so badly injured. Ava, you're back. His voice was a little dry. Sarah sobbed in his arms at the right moment, her voice aggrieved and innocent. Ethan, I don't know why Ava hates me so much. I just wanted to care about her. Pretend, keep pretending. Ethan tried to come forward to check on my injuries, but I pushed him away with all my strength. "Don't touch me, Ethan Thorne, you disgust me." I looked at him and said clearly, word by word, "Where were you on my mother's death anniversary? You were with your good assistant, Sarah. I called you countless times, and your phone was off. At the scene of the car accident, I was critically injured and dying. The doctor wanted to save me, but you told him to take care of Sarah, who only had a minor scratch. In your arms first. In the ambulance, I needed to contact my family, but you snatched my phone away just because you were afraid of disturbing Sarah's rest. I was lying in the emergency room, in critical condition, needing a family member to sign papers, but you took Sarah to a VIP ward, turned off your phone, and had the best doctors in the country treat her minor injury. I need a caregiver after being discharged from the hospital, and she used the name Mrs. Thorne to snatch her away at 10 times the price. Did you know that? Of course, you knew. You condoned her and tacitly approved of her actions. Now, for her sake, you're throwing things at me, trying to break my fingers, and tear my mouth apart." With each sentence I spoke, Ethan's face paled a little more. He opened his mouth, seemingly wanting to explain something, but couldn't utter a single word. "Ethan Thorne." I looked at him, my eyes devoid of any love, only filled with cold disgust. "The Ethan who said he loved me 7 years ago and considered me his only family has been killed by your own hands through your repeated indifference, neglect, and betrayal. The current you makes me feel extremely strange and disgusted. Let's get divorced." After saying this, the severe pain in my back and the mental and physical exhaustion of the past few days finally reached their limit. My vision went black, and I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was already lying in what used to be home for Ethan and me, the luxury apartment on the top floor of Manhattan. Several doctors in white coats were gathered around the bed, clearly a top-notch medical team. Ethan was sitting on the sofa by the bed, looking gaunt with heavy shadows under his eyes. Seeing me wake up, he immediately got up and walked over. "Ava, you're awake? How do you feel?" "The doctor said the wound on your back reopened and you need to rest well." His tone was cautious. He handed me a velvet box, opened it, and inside was a set of dazzling diamond jewelry. "This was taken from the last auction. I originally wanted to give it to you, but..." I looked at the diamond set and felt nothing but irony. Is this his compensation? Using money and material things to make up for the hurt he caused me? I grabbed the box and threw it at him with all my strength. The diamonds scattered all over the floor, making a crisp sound, as if mocking this pathetic situation. "Get out!" I roared. "Take your things and get out." Ethan didn't dodge, letting the box hit him. A trace of hurt flashed across his face, and then he tried to explain. "Ava, Sarah and it's not what you think. I admit, I do care about her more than just a regular superior-subordinate relationship. That's because she's very much like you when you were younger." "Like me?" What a ridiculous and classic excuse. When she first joined the company, she was reckless, naive, and full of enthusiasm for her work, just like when I first met you. When I saw her, it was like seeing a shadow of the past, so I was more patient and caring towards her. I was just a little confused for a moment. What I feel for her is more gratitude, seeing a shadow of my past self, not love. "Ava, the person I love has always been you." He tried to grab my hand, his tone urgent. "I have broken up with her and given her money to leave New York, and she will never appear in front of us again. Ava, let /s start over, okay? Forget those unpleasant things." I coldly shook off his hand, my heart completely unmoved. "Cut off the relationship? Gave money? You make it sound so simple, as if an affair during marriage can be as easy as discarding an old piece of clothing." I suddenly remembered that about half a year ago, Ethan started mentioning Sarah frequently. At that time, he was still complaining that Sarah was not mature enough and was forgetful. I foolishly advised him, "She's new, be more patient with her. Everyone has times when they're not good at things." He looked at me then, his eyes a little complicated, and then said, "You're right, I should be more patient." It turned out that from that time on, he had already begun to pour his so-called patience on that Sarah who resembled me, and I, like a fool, was advising him to be kind to my rival in love. In the following days, Ethan began to play the role of a virtuous husband. He turned down all unnecessary social engagements, came home on time every day, personally cooked the dishes I used to like, although the taste was hard to describe, and brought various expensive tonics and flowers. He sat by my bed, clumsily reading me the news, talking about finance, trying to make me happy, but my heart was as calm as a stagnant pool. His attentiveness, his flattery, all seemed to me like a belated, hypocritical performance. The man who chose someone else when I was at the critical moment of life and death, the man who hit me for the sake of his mistress, had already exhausted all the love in my heart. He is no longer my husband, just a betrayer. This kind of virtuous husband performance lasted about 20 days. After 20 days, his patience was clearly exhausted. He began to answer work calls at home more and more, frowning and with an impatient tone. Finally, one day, he told me that the company had an urgent project in Europe and he needed to go on a business trip immediately. Watching his slightly hurried and relieved figure as he packed his luggage, my heart was calm, and I didn't even have the strength to be sarcastic. I knew that this brief return was over. On the third day of Ethan's departure, I received a WhatsApp message from an unknown number. I opened it, and there were a few photos. The background of the photo is a sunny beach in Hawaii and a luxurious hotel suite. In the photo, Sarah is wearing a sexy bikini, snuggling intimately in Ethan's arms, smiling brightly. Although Ethan is not looking at the camera, the lines of his profile are soft, and he is holding a glass of wine, obviously very relaxed. Immediately following is a voice message. Sarah's smug and provocative voice. Ava, did you see it? Ethan said he was on a business trip, but he actually came to Hawaii on vacation with me. He said he felt too stressed with you, and it's easy and happy with me. He said it's not gratitude or because I look like someone else. He just loves me. As long as I call, he will fly to my side immediately. He said he won't divorce you, but only because divorce is too troublesome when dividing property, and the Thorne family doesn't allow heirs to have the stigma of divorce. Your Mrs. Thorne's status has long existed in name only. The person he loves is me, and the person by his side will only be me. In the background noise of the voice, you can still faintly hear Ethan's deep laughter. Good, very good. This is exactly what I need. I calmly replied to Sarah's message. You want to completely replace me, right? The reply came quickly. What if I do? You can't beat me. We can make a deal. I typed. I can help you succeed, but you need to do me a small favor. Sarah was obviously surprised, but her desire for the Mrs. Thorne position overcame her wariness. What deal? Help me get Ethan's divorce agreement signed. I knew that Ethan had a private seal in his study specifically for signing non-core cooperation documents. For convenience, he would sometimes authorize trusted assistants to use it. As his most trusted assistant, Sarah naturally knew where the seal was kept and may have had brief access to it. I sent Sarah a pre-prepared divorce agreement. The agreement was simple. I only wanted the marital apartment we currently lived in, and I wouldn't take a penny of the rest of the Thorne family's property. For Sarah, who was so eager to climb the social ladder, these were almost free conditions. As long as I get his signature on this, I will disappear immediately and fulfill your wishes, I added. As expected, Sarah agreed. She was too eager to become Mrs. Thorne legitimately. 3 days later, Sarah sent me the divorce agreement with Ethan's personal signature through an anonymous courier. She obviously thought that with this signed divorce agreement, I would no longer be any threat. After getting the divorce agreement, the second thing I did was go to the Thorne family's old house. Mrs. Thorne, Ethan's mother, had always been lukewarm, even somewhat disdainful, towards me, her daughter-in-law from an ordinary family. She valued matching social status, and even more so the Thorne family's reputation and the stability of the heir's marriage. I printed out those intimate Hawaiian photos that Sarah sent me, as well as that recording, and placed them next to Mrs. Thorne's teacup. Aunt, hello, I greeted her calmly. Mrs. Thorne put down her teacup and frowned at me. Ava, what are you doing here? You're not well yet. Shouldn't you be resting at home? Thank you for your concern, Aunt. I'm much better. I walked up to her and pointed to the photos and recordings. I'm here today to tell you that I want to divorce Ethan. Mrs. Thorne's face changed. Nonsense. How can the heir of the Thorne family get divorced? What are you thinking? I'm not thinking anything. I just feel that I'm not suitable to be your daughter-in-law anymore. I looked at her, my tone with a hint of sarcasm. After all, your son has a more beloved confidant outside, and he took her to Hawaii for vacation, and even promised to divorce me for her. Wouldn't I, the rightful wife, be an eyesore if I stayed here? Mrs. Thorne picked up the photo, her face becoming increasingly unpleasant, and she trembled with anger upon hearing the recording. Who is this woman? She pointed at Sarah in the photo, asking sharply, "She is Ethan's assistant, Sarah Evans," I said softly. "She can't wait to replace me and become Mrs. Thorne. You see, she can even make Ethan disregard my life and death when I was seriously injured in a car accident for her sake." I embellished the scene of the car accident and the situation in the hospital, every sentence hitting Mrs. Thorne's pain points. The Thorne family's heir was so absurd that he didn't even want his face and responsibility for a woman. "Auntie, I signed the divorce agreement and only wanted the marital home. I didn't take a penny from the Thorne family. I'm not someone who covets wealth." I stood up, my eyes cold. "But I see that Ethan and that assistant Sarah have a very close relationship, and she seems to have a lot of tricks up her sleeve. You'll have to put more effort into the Thorne family's affairs in the future." After speaking, I ignored Mrs. Thorne's shock and anger and left the old house straight away. I want to intensify the conflict between Mrs. Thorne and Ethan, and transfer Mrs. Thorne's anger to Ethan and Sarah. This way, the resistance to my divorce will be greatly reduced. Ethan returned from his business trip and found that the lock on the apartment had been changed. He forced someone to pick the lock and barged in. When he saw me sitting in the living room, his face immediately darkened. "Ava, what are you doing? Who told you to change the locks?" he demanded angrily. "I changed the locks because this is my house now." I pushed the divorce agreement with his personal seal in front of him. "Divorce agreement? You've already signed it." Ethan picked up the agreement and was stunned when he saw the seal on it. "I didn't sign this," he vehemently denied. "It /SA forgery." "Forgery?" I chuckled softly. "Are you sure? Isn't this seal the one from your study? Have you ever wondered why it would appear here?" I looked at him and said, word by word, "It was Sarah. She stole your seal and stamped it on the agreement. She wanted to marry you so badly that she resorted to such means." Ethan's face turned extremely ugly, obviously not expecting Sarah to do this. But then he looked at me, and his eyes became complicated again. "Even if she does this, I will not agree to a divorce." He was firm. "Ava, don't think you can force me with this kind of trick." "Force you?" I stood up, walked in front of him, and looked him straight in the eye. "Ethan, don't you understand yet? I'm not forcing you. I'm giving you up. I once thought you were my whole world. For you, I gave up my dance career, willingly stayed at home to be a wife and mother, integrated into circles you didn't like, and endured the difficulties from your mother. I thought that as long as I was a good wife, you would always love me, just like you promised. But what did you do? When I needed you most, you chose another woman. For her, you ignored me, and even hit me. You think providing material things is enough? Think I should tolerate your close female friends? Think I'm immature?" I sneered. "Ethan Thorne, you don't understand what marriage is at all, let alone what love is. You only love yourself, only your desires and your ego." Just when we were at a stalemate, Mrs. Thorne arrived with a group of bodyguards. Her face was ashen, and she pointed at Ethan and scolded him as soon as she came in. "You unfilial son, look at the good deeds you've done. For a vixen, you've disgraced the Thorne family. How could you do such an absurd thing?" Ethan tried to defend himself, but Mrs. Thorne wouldn't listen at all. She directly took out the family rules, listed Ethan's wrongdoings, and finally pointed at him, saying sternly, "Today, you either divorce Ava immediately, or get out of the Thorne family. I don't have a son like you." She even took out some quick-acting heart pills, clutching her chest, looking like she might faint at any moment. Ethan looked at his furious mother and then at my indifferent face, knowing that his mother was serious this time. His expression changed, and finally, he slumped back on the sofa. "Okay, divorce." His voice was low, with a hint of unwillingness and exhaustion. Seeing that he agreed, Mrs. Thorne immediately had a new divorce agreement brought over. This time it was a formal legal document. Under Mrs. Thorne's supervision, Ethan reluctantly signed his name on it. Mrs. Thorne probably wanted to compensate me, or to shut me up completely, so she gave me an extra sum of money, which was not small. Just like that, Ethan Thorne and I, married for 7 years, divorced in less than an hour. After completing the divorce procedures, I went to the Thorne group to retrieve my remaining personal belongings. Downstairs, I ran into Sarah, who was in tears. She was being stopped at the door by 2 bodyguards, desperately pleading for something. "Let me see Ethan, please, I'm the one he loves most," Sarah cried. However, instead of Ethan's gentle comfort, she was met with his cold and heartless voice from the intercom, "Throw her out. She's never to come near Thorn Group again. Sarah looked as if she had been struck by lightning, her face drained of all color. The bodyguards showed no mercy, dragging and pulling her out the door. I stood not far away, quietly watching this scene. Is this the love and status she desperately wanted to grasp? It's worthless in the face of real interests and the family's reputation. Love is the cheapest thing. I understood this truth after 7 years of marriage and a body full of pain. She, perhaps, will need even longer. After the divorce, I moved into that former marital apartment. Ironically, it now completely belongs to me. I declined my brother's visit and quietly healed my wounds, planning for my future life. My dance career, once put on hold due to marriage, is now the time to pick it up again. One rainy night, I was practicing dancing by the window when I heard a burst of rapid knocking on the door. Opening the door, I saw Ethan, soaked and disheveled. He was holding a cake box that was soaked with rain. Ava, today is our wedding anniversary. His voice was hoarse, and his eyes were bloodshot. He tried to hand me the cake, but his hand was unsteady. The box fell to the ground, and the cake was smashed to pieces. Ethan didn't pay attention to the cake on the ground. He looked straight at me, his eyes filled with pain and pleading. Ava, I know I was wrong. I was blinded and treated Sarah as a shadow of you in your younger days. I thought she could bring me freshness, but after the divorce, I realized that you are unique and irreplaceable. He actually knelt down, rain streaming down his cheeks, indistinguishable from rain or tears. Please, Ava, come back to me. I can't breathe without you. I love you. I really love you. I looked at him, my heart unmoved, only filled with endless indifference. Ethan Thorne, my voice was as calm as this cold, rainy night. You love the Ava of the past, the one who depended on you, revolved around you, and was willing to give up everything for you. But the me standing in front of you now, you don't even know. I won't go back. Leave. I closed the door, shutting him and the rain outside away. I threw myself wholeheartedly into my dance career. Every day, besides rehabilitation training, I practice dancing, learn new techniques, and contact internationally renowned dance companies. My life is full and busy, and I gradually regained my former passion and self. Occasionally, I would receive calls from Ethan. Most of the time it was late at night. He would call drunk, crying on the phone about missing me and confessing his mistakes. I usually hang up directly, or have my brother answer for me. Mrs. Thorne also called, her tone tentative, asking if I had considered getting back together with Ethan. I only said that I had started a new life and had no intention of looking back. She sighed and didn't press me further. 6 months later, explosive news rocked New York's high society. Ethan Thorne, the heir to the Thorne Group, was sued by his assistant, Sarah Evans. Sarah claimed to be pregnant with Ethan's child, demanding huge compensation and child support, and even trying to force him to marry her using the child as a bargaining chip. The news reported in detail how Sarah used the pregnancy lie, and how she had previously forged signatures in an attempt to force me to divorce. The Thorne Group's public relations team was overwhelmed, and Ethan Thorne's image plummeted, becoming the laughingstock of all of New York. He was plagued by Sarah's relentless pursuit, entangled in lawsuits, and overwhelmed. And I, in this year, won the highest award in the international dance competition. After the award ceremony, I stood on the stage, accepting flowers and applause. My eyes swept across the audience, and in an inconspicuous corner, I saw a familiar figure, Ethan Thorne. He stood there, silently watching me, his eyes complex and unreadable. Backstage, I received a bouquet of flowers sent anonymously, with only a few words on the card. Congratulations, my star. I knew who sent them. I took out my phone and sent a text message to that familiar number. Ethan, my career is my ocean of stars. Then, I blocked his number without hesitation. The past is in the past, and I won't look back. My new life has just begun. I held my head high and walked towards the future that belongs to me.